Continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Warner Anderson as Matthew Swain, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, and Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie.
In Peyton Place, everyone gets together once a year to celebrate our town's illustrious history. Constance Mackenzie, though, has her own past to think about, along with a troubled present and an uncertain future.
Morning, Matt.
You're early.
I know. I thought I'd set up my booth before the hurly-burly begins.
Where's Allison?
Rodney Harrington asked her to brunch at their house.
And what's so special about that? I could have gone if I hadn't been so busy here.
Oh?
Laura Brooks stopped by and asked us.
Us?
Dr. Rossi and me.
Oh. But, you didn't go.
Well, I couldn't. Town crier. You know, Laura probably thinks her brother's great big house will make a great big impression on Rossi.
I wonder if she's right.
Is that all the credit you give?
The specialty of the house. Smell.
Nectar, huh?
No, scalloped oysters.
Well, that's what I said, nectar.
Leslie, Dr. Rossi's impressed by us and our way of life.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, Dr. Rossi. But it takes time to get the feel of a small town.
Well, I learned fast.
Good.
You'll like my brother. Oh, you'll like my sister-in-law, too. She's one of those people. You know the saying, you've got to get to know her.
Hope it's everything you want.
Oh, thank you, Norman.
Where's Rod?
He went upstairs to change for the festival. He'll be down in a minute. Won't you sit down?
That place is taken, isn't it?
Please, Norman.
Norman taking care of you, Allison?
Mm-hmm.
Just holding the fort until you got back.
Favorite younger nephew.
Yeah, so you told me.
Rodney's my favorite older nephew with the pretty girl as usual.
Oh, lucky fella.
Is it luck or is it brass? We don't know, do we, Norman?
No. Excuse me.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that to Norman.
Really? Why not?
I'm just guessing, but I thought Allison was his girl.
There?
Thank you.
You haven't touched your food.
I have?
You know, if you weren't the most beautiful girl in the world, I'd say you were lying through your teeth. That's better. I'm trying to remember, have you ever been to Sunday brunch before?
No, just with Norman to play records.
Well, from now on, you're going to be here a lot. With me. Everything's going to be different from now on. Uh-oh. I think we'd better go out on the terrace. Old Doc Morton is about to descend upon us, review my childhood diseases. I have other things I want to talk about.
Well, Norman, you going to the festival this afternoon?
I guess so, Dr. Morton.
Hey, you filled out, but that's hardly a surprise. The Peyton men were always sturdy and strong. That's the advantage of being a family doctor. You not only know the kids, you know their parents, you know their grandparents.
It's an advantage.
It's a big advantage, Dr. Rossi. Oh, I know there are people who minimize the doctor-patient relationship. They depend upon laboratory tests to tell them what to do. Well, times change, methods change. Not always for the best.
Will you forgive me?
Some of us like the old times best, like Sunday brunch, for example. Don't we, Catherine?
Yes. Will you all please excuse me?
Catherine.
I'm going to lie down for a minute.
What of her little pains?
Again? I don't know what I'm going to do with the girl except to tell her it's nothing. Gastric pain, Dr. Rossi. Every time she has one, she thinks the end has come. You've run into that, of course.
Well, many times. Of course, if a patient has a pain, we have to take it seriously because we have no choice.
Well, I'd say the doctor was constantly making choices. To do this, to do that, or not to do anything.
Of course.
I'm glad you agree with me, Doctor. I'll look in on all this.
Dr. Rossi, he's really a very sweet man, but he's also a bit touchy.
So I'm finding out.
Well, let me remind you, he's a big wheel in Peyton Place. Chief of staff at the hospital. A little deference might pay off. Let's get some more coffee.
No, Rodney.
Why?
Well, that's a pretty serious thing to say to a girl. I mean, it's all right to say I like you.
I said I love you. And one of these days, I'm going to marry you. Okay, it's your turn. What do you say?
It's all so new.
Falling in love?
Am I? I've thought about it, read about it. I've even written about it. All those poems, moonlight and sunsets. But I was just making it up. Wishing. When it happens, it's all so different.
Yes.
I didn't even know when it began. Last night I liked you. This morning I liked you. But suddenly I can't even remember this morning. Seems 1,000 years ago.
Allison.
Maybe it was knocking at my heart all along and I just never noticed.
Daddy's washing the car. You can call Rod now. Betty, you've got to let him know you want to see him.
Stop pushing me, Mother. You better get dressed for the festival. You have to set your booth up.
There's time for that.
Well, I'm going to stay around here, so get Daddy to cart your things over for you.
Betty, you can't run away from it.
I'm not. Okay, I am, but I just found out this morning. Dr. Rossi wasn't sure until this morning. Just give me some time. Anyhow, I'm not going to go crawling back to Rod.
Oh, Betty.
I know what he wants to say, and I don't want to listen.
Betty, you and Rod... Well, there was a misunderstanding. Look, you went together all summer. Now, this has got to mean something to him, Betty.
He's dropped me, hasn't he? He's told me so twice. And again last night at the shoreline. Just 2 words, it's over. Mother, I begged him to listen to me. I would have told him that, even if I didn't know for sure. But he just walked away, just walked off with Allison Mackenzie.
Oh, Betty.
Mother, I'll tell him later, but not now. Just keep Daddy from asking me questions. Just give me some time.
Betty, you're not being fair to Rod. You don't know what he'll say when you tell him. He may want very much to marry you.
What about Allison?
How long have they been going together?
Well, not long, but he's different with her. I can't explain, but last night I saw them at the shoreline, and he looks at her as if he loves her. We went together all summer, and I love him. But he didn't even look at me like that. I was just a date, just another girl.
Call him, Betty.
No. I'll see you later.
Betty, do you want me to talk to him? I mean, somebody's got to. If your father
Look,
would...
you're crazy. It'll be bad enough if Daddy finds out later. I'll call him tonight, I promise.
He's going to be at the festival, Betty.
With Allison Mackenzie, not with me. Poor little Allison. She finds herself a boyfriend and you want me to take him away from her. Well, all right, I will call, but they've just had 2 dates and I love him. But if I call, all those people will be there and they have that brunch on Sunday.
Maybe it's over by now.
But what do I say?
Just ask him to meet you.
If we're going to the festival, we ought to get started.
I have a better idea. Let's take a drive first.
Could we? Along the shore? We had our first date looking out over the ocean.
And I was looking at you.
Phone.
Who is it?
I didn't ask.
I'll be right back.
I won't go away.
Having fun?
Yes.
Okay if I sit down?
Of course, Norman.
Hello?
Rod, this is Betty.
Oh, hi, Betty.
Rod, I didn't have a chance last night. I had to talk to you. It's important.
Look, Betty, we don't have anything to talk about.
Didn't you hear me? I said it's important.
Betty, why do you call me like this? Why do you make me say this to you? I'm sorry. I can't see.
You mean you won't say me? Is that what you're trying to say?
Okay, leave it at that. Now, I've told you how I feel. I've tried to explain to you.
Sure, I know it's over. Well, it's not over. This time you can't brush me off. Not after you hear what I have to tell you. Where can we meet?
We can't.
Rodney, we're going to have to meet.
We don't have to.
I'll be at the festival. Look for me. Satisfied.
Where's Allison?
She's out on the terrace.
Alone?
No, Norman's with her.
I never realized how beautiful your mother's garden is.
The garden hasn't changed.
Does it show?
If you know what to look for.
We've been friends for an awfully long time, Norman. I guess it'd be pretty difficult to keep any secrets from you.
There's some things you just can't tell anybody.
You're not going to keep any secrets from me, are you, Norman?
You've really flipped out, haven't you? I mean, you're so happy your feet aren't anywhere near the ground.
That's right.
Well, then it's all wrong. Physics taught us that what goes up must come down.
Oh, Norman.
It's a natural law.
Who's interested in physics, anyway?
You sure aren't, that's for sure. I'll see you.
You want anything else to eat? Last call for brunch.
No, thank you, I'm fine.
The Harrington tradition. All we need are the horses and the hounds.
I had a lovely time.
You never know how it'll end, do you?
What?
Oh, a wonderful time. Think we better go inside. They'll wonder what happened to us.
What about the drive to the shore?
Well, I think we better skip it. You want to hear the cannon go off, don't you?
I gave her a mild sedative. Don't worry about her.
Does she want to see me?
Sure, that's the best medicine. Baby here. Enjoy brunch.
Glad you could come.
I wouldn't miss it.
Feeling better?
I'm all right, Leslie.
Anything I can get you?
No.
Robert says it's just nerves. I mean, nothing to be alarmed about.
I know what Robert says. Are people still here?
They're just leaving.
Allison's sweet. At least she's an improvement over Betty.
Betty's a nice girl.
You always defend her, don't you? All the Andersons.
What do you mean?
Betty's all right. Julie's a perfect secretary.
Julie's a good secretary.
Really? You see, you defend her, yet you're critical of me. A glass of water, please. How late did you work last night?
Why do you ask? You were up when I got home.
Was George up when Julie got home?
Catherine, you aren't feeling well. This is no time for an argument.
Are we having an argument? Put it back, please.
There's just so much we don't agree on. Julie, Betty, Norman.
Why bring Norman into this?
Okay, let it go. But he's grown up now, and so is Rodney. It was different when they were younger and needed us.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying that I seem to make you unhappy, Catherine.
And I seem to make you unhappy. That's really the point, isn't it? Why don't you say what you mean? I might respect you for it.
Catherine.
It's the old story, isn't it, Leslie? I was young and pretty when you married me and my father owned the mill. And now I'm not so young and you run the mill. But I own it. Have you ever stopped to think, Leslie, what would happen to you if we separated?
I built up that business for you and your father. And I've earned every cent I get out of it. But if I thought it was best for us, I'd walk out tomorrow.
With whom?
Catherine, please.
Darling, come in. I was just telling your father. I'm afraid I'll have to skip the festival. But you go, Leslie. They'll be counting on you.
Okay. If you want me, I'll be on the square.
Why does he have to argue with you all the time?
Oh, he doesn't mean it, Norman. When you're older, you'll understand these things.
What things?
Just things. Your father, me. You don't have to stay with me. You'll enjoy the festival.
I'm in no hurry, Mom. You want to play Russian Bank?
No. Just sit with me. Talk to me. When you were a child, and I'd put you to bed, you used to say, talk to me. Don't go, talk to me. You had such bad dreams.
Yeah, Mom. Where are the cards?
Julie! Julie!
I'm coming, George.
Fine. I'm out there breaking my backpack in that car, and you're upstairs primping.
Well,
Well.
already now, George.
Yeah? What about Betty? Betty?
She'll be right down, George.
You know, for a wooden nickel, I would stay home. Founder's Day. Betty!
George. Let her alone.
What do you mean, let her alone? What is the matter with that girl, anyway?
There is nothing the matter with her. She's moody. Girls are apt to be moody, George.
Girls are not the only ones. Julie?
Who do you keep your smiles for these days?
Oh, stop it, George.
You used to keep them for me, remember? For big, handsome George. Where's he gone?
Where have you gone?
Please.
We used to like good times. We had good times, but I don't know what you want anymore.
Look, why don't we start ahead? Betty can walk down to the square.
No. We're going to wait right here for her. Come here, Julie. Come here, honey. Sit up. Kiss me, Julie. What is it? What is it? Is it that you just can't take me anymore? Is that it?
No, George. No.
All right, then. Let me hear you say it.
Say what?
Say it.
I love you, George.
We're gonna put you in the movies, Julie. Then we're gonna give you an Oscar for the worst performance of the year. I don't know what it is, but you better remember one thing. You just can't go on fooling old George. Here she is, my little girl, all dressed up, no place to go, huh? Here, let me give you some of this. You buy yourself a hat. Present.
Oh, no, I won't be staying.
No, you got a date?
Maybe.
Rod?
Maybe.
Oh, come on. Let's get out of here before you both drive me crazy.
Connie, do I detect a glint of green in those lovely eyes?
Leslie Harrington, the boy most likely to succeed.
Where's Betty?
Preview from the continuing story of Peyton Place.
All of a sudden, it hit me. I want to teach you everything I can. That is, if you'll let me.
I'll let you.
And right now, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of what I'd begun to feel for you. I'm ashamed of what my daughter thinks of me.
Julie.
I'm frightened, Les. I'm frightened of what's happening to her.
She mustn't have any more of those accidents. She mustn't fall down the steps anymore. The next time you both may not be so lucky.
Are you trying to say I pushed her?